What are the Nephilim? Well, there's two schools of thought as to what these beings are, and I think the best way to answer a question on a topic is to first define what the word means. The word Nephilim means fallen ones, and it's oftentimes rendered as giant. It's referring to large people, and we would say this is reference to Shaquille O'Neal in our day and age, or Goliath the giant during the time of David. The passage where they first appear in Scripture is where people start to get a little sci-fi, and this is where we will answer the question. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1 says, "Now it came to pass when the men began multiplying on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them," so girls are being born, "the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. And then verse 4 says there were giants on the earth. There's that word Nephilim in the original Hebrew. And also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown." Now, this is where man starts to decline as far as their relationship with God, and Noah is called to build an ark because judgment is coming, and even goes so far as to say in verse 5 that God saw the wickedness of the earth, that it was so full of violence, and that the thought and intent of their hearts was only evil continually, that a relationship with him was almost to the point of being impossible. Now there's two schools of thought as to what these Nephilim, these giants, these great men in history that were the offspring of the sons of God marrying the daughters of men are. I will first give you the position I disagree with and hope to do so in a completely fair manner. Those who take this position believe that the term sons of God is describing fallen angels, because in the book of Job, chapter 1 and verse 7, it describes angels as sons of God, and that Satan was also among them. They also then cite passages like 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 4, where it says that the angels who sinned were bound in chains of deep darkness for the day of judgment, and they would then toss it back to this reference in talking about the angels that cohabitated with women, because according to the book of Hebrews, God does not give aid to angels in reference to salvation, and this was a satanic plot for half-angel, half-human hybrids to come on the earth, be supernaturally large, and thus be unqualifiable, basically, uneligible for salvation, and God had to destroy them through the flood. My position, and the one that I will happily defend against anyone who wants further clarification or disagrees with me on, would look at the term sons of God and interpret it differently, because you see in Psalm 82 and verse 6, the term sons of God is described not as a biological identity, but a relational term. Human beings are also referred to as sons of God as a relationship, that we are in a relationship with God as our Father, in the same way that Jesus, the Son of God, capital S, had a relationship with the Father within the Trinity. And likewise, the claim that these half-demon, half-human hybrids were destroyed in the flood, well, apparently God missed, because in the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 33, and in Joshua 11, chapter 22, during the time of Moses and Joshua, after the flood, they were still around and alive on the world scene. So either God failed in his objective to the flood, or this is describing someone's relationship with God. It's not describing some half-human, half-angel hybrid, but I would take the position this is describing their relationship with God. They were mighty men, they were great men, but they were rejecting a relationship with God. Why? Because sons of God, people with a relationship with God, were marrying ungodly women, and the conflict within the family resulted in a rapid decline of mankind's relationship with God at a global scale. Now, the other reason why I would take this position is because there is simply no relevance to God telling us this if the first position is true. Here's what I mean. If what happened was these angels married these women, took advantage of them, and produced half-angel offspring, that has never happened again in history ever, and God saw personally to that if the position is true. Therefore, there'd be no reason to ever tell us about it other than the fact that it happened. On the other hand, the topic of marrying ungodly spouses and impacting the lives of your children as far as their relationships with God and the kind of example you can set in your family going forward are not only topics relevant to the New Testament, but also in the Old, so close to the writing of this book that God would be directly warning them against something that would be happening in the book of Numbers concerning the women of Moab, an incident that almost wiped out the nation of Israel when they fell for the girls' feminine charms. So, in conclusion, what conclusion should we make? Doesn't matter. If you take one position or the other, if you believe sons of God is referring to angels exclusively, then we can have a civilized conversation about what this could also mean. And if you agree with my position, I hope that you have researched that position and come to it for more reasons than just the guy on the screen told you so. We can disagree on certain things. This is one of them. There are things we can't disagree on. This isn't one of them. If you take one position or the other, believe it for a reason, and we will happily discuss it. But if you can't, know what battles are worth fighting. This is not something where we need to divide fellowship over. We can be more than happy believing different things, and God will sort out the side details. But whatever you believe, make sure it's for a reason, and especially for biblical ones. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this answer. If you have any questions about this topic or other topics pertaining to this, leave them in the comments, and I look forward to answering more of your questions very soon.